Hello and welcome along to the F1 Esports Pro Series qualifying show presented by Aramco. We're into the second half of the season now. We've got three very iconic tracks coming up. We've got Silverstone, we've got Spa, and we have Monza. And of course, we don't just have iconic tracks, we have iconic guests as well. Mr. Nick Hamilton, you're part of the furniture now, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Good to be back, mate.
Yeah, it's going to be good. We're obviously into the second half of the season now. We've had some pretty epic qualifyings, and I'm not saying that the quali show is the best. Yeah, two shows, but I mean, we've had some good action.
It's our show now, isn't it, Matt? That's what you said.
It is. You're the celeb. Perfect. I'm just the peasant host. But either way, have you enjoyed the first half of the season, and what are you expecting going into the second?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so blown away by this Esports Championship. The quality of the drivers is absolutely incredible. And also, we saw a few features of the teams, etc. The amount of resource that's going behind these teams, the structure they have behind them. So yeah, I'm so excited to see more of the same for the second half of the season. I think we're going to have a lot of wheel-to-wheel action, but also really, really close timings in those qualifying shows. And this qualifying show, I'd say.
The qualifying show, of course. Let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship standings and how it all stacks up as we go into the second half of the season. And Jarno Opmeer has been the man to beat, hasn't he, Nick, with the two Red Bull drivers pretty much nipping on his heels.
Yeah, they're there or thereabouts, aren't they? Any mistake that Opmeer makes will drop points to the Red Bull guys. We also make sure he stays out in front.
Absolutely. And you've got Longuet and Beresnay. Beresnay still taking a bit of time to fire up, isn't he? Down in P5 in the Drivers' Championship, only 37 points to his name after 6 races. That's going to be a bit annoying for someone that's a veteran of the series and a multiple race winner.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen he's made a few mistakes, hasn't he? Especially in qualifying, which has put him on the back foot into the races. So let's hope today will be a little bit different.
Second half of the Drivers' Championship, not where you really want to be, and the likes of Enzo Benito really struggling as well, only on 7 points. Fabrizio Donoso, obviously Nicolas Longuet's teammate, down with 5 points. So we're seeing again a few teams struggling to get a pairing that really work together and can solidly deliver points, apart from the likes of Red Bull has been the only real ones where it's been consistent.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, Red Bull now actually overtaking the Alfa Romeo boys in the championship, which is incredible because Alfa Romeo really got off to a great start, didn't they, at the start of the championship, but Red Bull really coming back at them strong, and Renault really close there and nipping at their heels.
Absolutely, a full race win ahead are Red Bull. Let's take a look at the format. Of course, you know by now, don't you? You love the quali show. This is your, I don't even know how many times. This is for your 5th viewing, maybe? Either way, here's the format. And, well, it's just like real-life Formula 1, isn't it? It's Q1, Q2, Q3. And this is the beauty of it. This is why the quali show exists, because we have so much action, so much pressure on the drivers, Nick. And it's been great, not just for Q3, which is usually in real-life Formula 1, isn't it? The one we all look forward to, the shootout for pole. But it's exciting throughout.
Yeah, and this is what I really like. It's about bringing real life into esports, and having this structure, this real life structure in qualifying is a really, really key part. The drivers have got to make sure that they deliver in all 3 sessions, Q1, Q2, Q3, and you can see a lot of sort of strategy being played in those sessions. Some drivers going out on intermediate tyres, aren't they, to start their sessions, etc. You see the track evolving, so it's a really, really key part, and it's great to have it in the show.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. If you want to get involved, then make sure to send in your questions and comments via the Twitch chat or use hashtag hashtag F1 Esports on Twitter, and we will answer some of the questions later on this evening as well. Got any questions or any sort of things that are in your mind, Nick, after the first half of the season? Is there anyone that you're kind of mystified by their performance?
Not really. I like Joni Tormula. I think he's got a lot of pace and a lot of talent, and has made a few mistakes, especially in qualifying, which put him on the back foot for the races. It'd be great to see him come back strong, and also Brendan Lee. It'd be great to see him come back and hopefully get on the podium. We haven't seen him on a podium for quite a while.
Yeah, it'd be great to see him come back. Now, I think you know this guy, Nick. His name's Lewis Hamilton. He's going to take us around the Silverstone circuit.
I'm Lewis Hamilton, and this is a lap of Silverstone. Naturally, my home Grand Prix. A couple of the coolest sections are the old Copse, which is now flat, and Magus and Beckett's, which is a really high-speed section. So check it out. So coming across the start line in Silverstone, turn 1 is flat. You're just shifting up into 8th gear through here, trying to be in as smooth as possible and scrub as little speed off as possible. Breaking down to turn 3. It's not so easy, but it's pretty flat in a sense. But this kind of fast chicane, it's really just about trying to keep the minimum speed up. Then you're up down to the back straight, DRS open under the bridge, breaking down into Brooklands. This is a very kind of wide corner on the way in. It gets tighter, then you've got the long, long sweeping right-hander, which takes ages to get round. Feels like it never stops. And it's an odd line, it's multiple lines through there. Then down the old pit straight, flat into Copse. Very, very hard to find the right turning point. You can't go too wide, otherwise you get a penalty on the exit. Then you're flying up to Magus and Beckett's. This is flat out here, but positioning is everything to line yourself up for the exit of 13, which is here. Very, very bumpy, and everything's kind of rattling in the car. Then flat out down Hangar Straight, trying to set your position, eyesight set on Stowe Corner, which is incredibly fast. And it's really about having a compromise of entry, mid, and exit, breaking down to a short chicane, and then flat round the last corner.
Well, fantastic to hear from Lewis Hamilton there, a 7-time world champion. It's just unbelievable. I did not think I'd see it in my lifetime. But also, something you would have seen in your lifetime was last year, 2019, the F1 Esports Silverstone race highlights. And let's take a look at what happened then.
And we're racing at Silverstone. Who's going to get the best start? Patrick Crutch has already jumped the start. The Red Bull is looking up the inside as they come into turn 1. Looks like it's a little bit damp conditions potentially at Silverstone as they come up towards the hairpin for the first time, and Rasmussen doesn't quite go for it. He's trying to go all the way around the outside.
It's in! It's in! Come on, believe in yourself. Yes, Rasmussen, he did it.
In the rest of the top 8, and in then comes Freddie Rasmussen. Now, interestingly, Marcel Kiefer decides to stay out. Berejne comes in as well. Has David Tonitza been rapid on his outlap, and can he come out in front of the Red Bull? Here he comes into Abbey. There's the Red Bull, and he's going to hold on. Second place, but only for the moment, because here comes Tonitza in the Ferrari to the outside. This was the move that was pulled on him earlier on. Sends it in really deep into Brooklands, and he gets it done into Luffield, although now here comes Berejne. He's coming back at him in the Alfa Romeo down to Stowe, to the inside, and back up into second place. Is this going to be the move for Kiefer from the lead of the race? He goes for it! Bowled up the inside into Stowe. Kiefer leads for Racing Point. Through Club Corner for the final time. And for the first time, he wins in the F1 Esports Pro Series. Wonderful drive from Marcel Kiefer. Took the lead.
Well, there you go. There's the highlights from last year, Nick, and it was a pretty exciting one. Marcel Kiefer kind of coming to the forefront and showing that he has the potential to really take it and challenge for victories later on down the line, and we've seen it this year. Is that kind of the momentum that he'd be looking for coming into, again, Silverstone? Would you be looking back to last year thinking that was pretty good? Yeah,
definitely. Kiefer knows, obviously, having such a fantastic result last time out here at Silverstone, it's going to really give him a boost to know that he's got the pace to carry it on, and he'll want to do that for the rest of his championship.
Now, I absolutely love listening to those race highlights purely because Davide Valsecchi is in it, although technically I'm in his job now as co-commentator, so maybe I don't. I still miss him.
And are you as good?
Absolutely not. Not at all.
I mean,
he is amazing.
his enthusiasm's incredible.
No one is more enthusiastic than Davide Valsecchi. He can win that award any day of the week. But we do miss Davide, of course.
We do.
But he adds a huge element to the show, doesn't he? I just love his passion, and he was actually a very good racer as well, which not many people realise.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? He was very successful in GP2 back in the day, which is now F2, and I think the only F2 or GP2 champion at the time to not get a Formula One seat, which is really interesting because he's clearly got some talent.
Right, enough reminiscing. Let's take a look at what happened in qualifying for this 2020 F1 Esports Pro Series around Silverstone, the Great British Grand Prix in Q1. So let's see if there were any scalps, and there was. Mr. Nick Hamilton, Jarno Opmeer, the hot lapper himself, out in Q1.
Wow, that's a big shame, isn't it? And a lot of work for him to do in the race coming up. This is Freddie Rasmussen doing the job, by the looks of it, going P1 in Q1, which is a great start for him. And now riding on board with Joni Tormela. Q1 doesn't look like he's going to get out at the moment. He's P16, comes across the line and just makes it into P7.
Yeah, so he struggled around Austria. We actually spoke to him live in the last quali show, and it was great to hear the fact that you can't just reserve a couple of tenths, because that could be the difference between making it out of Q1 and not. But fortunately for him, he makes it. But this is Jarno Opmeer, and he makes the mistake. A little bit of oversteer. You can see on the delta on the right-hand side, he then loses the time that he would potentially need. And God, my goodness me, I mean, he has got a devastating look on him, hasn't he, when he's on a hot lap?
Yeah, I mean, I've just seen his new camera angle, which is great for us to see his face, see his eyes, and see how he goes about his racing. But you can see not very happy with that result at all.
No, so, I mean, that put him 8th at the time, but then look at that. He is out 17th with a 23.712, the same time as Joni Tormela, and a very disappointed and a lot of work as well for Jarno Opmeer to do later on this evening. And we go into Q2 now for Fabrizio Donoso. He has had moments of potential, but this wasn't one of them.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I mean, you look at his championship performance, and it looks like he doesn't have many points, but really he's been there or thereabouts. And Danny Moreno doing a really good job. Last time out, he did a fantastic job, didn't he? So it'd be great to see what he can do. And here, clearly doing another good job in Q2, currently in P2.
Really quick indeed. I mean, Freddie Rasmussen looking pretty decent as well, but Danny Moreno, first season in the F1 Esports Pro Series, and he is making a mark. And I believe that's Brendan Lee. The only reason is because he's using the widest screen I've ever seen, and then that's why we had that format of gameplay for us. And there's Bono Quis. He did not make it out of Q2 either. And I think Danny Beresne was out in Q2 as well. So disappointing for Alfa Romeo when they've just lost the championship, or Constructors' Championship lead, to these guys, the Red Bull guys. But they, on the other hand, looking very strong indeed as we go into Q3. Yeah,
this is really important, isn't it, for Red Bull to try and lock out that front row if they can, because they know now Alfa Romeo are going to be struggling to get maximum points out of the race coming up this evening. Riding on board with Nicolas Longue. Where does he go with this lap? Goes P2, Freddie Rasmussen pole at the moment.
Yeah, with a 0.3, it was a sensational lap from Freddie Rasmussen. There's David Tonitza, last year's champion, coming around the final corner, and it was a pretty decent result for the Ferrari drivers. David Tonitza putting himself in P3 at the moment. I think that ended up P4, and there's Marcel Kiefer. It's interesting to see the different driving styles. You have Nicolas Longue, who sits so close to his steering wheel and you hardly see any movement in his hands. Then you've got Marcel Kiefer, look like he's driving a truck.
Yeah, with his elbows out. It's really interesting.
And here he is coming over the line, and he ends up, well, he goes to P1 at the time. But we'll see how that all unfolds by the end of the session. And he was pretty happy indeed. A huge opportunity for Red Bull to extend their lead in the Constructors' Championship after Alfa Romeo stumbling in this qualifying. And that just constantly highlights, doesn't it, Nick, how much pressure on these drivers to perform in every single session.
Yeah, it's super important. You can see Freddie Rasmussen doing the job. Look at the relief he had. You see,
that's probably the most emotion we've ever seen from Freddie Rasmussen.
Yeah.
Exhaling.
Which just shows how much they have at stake, especially Nicolas Longue at this point is 8th. He's P8, isn't he, at the end of this?
Crucially goes to P2.
Second.
Yeah, great lap from Longue, splitting the Red Bulls, which could prove interesting in the race later on. What's Longuet going to do? He's not got a huge amount to lose, to be honest, when you compare it to the two Red Bull drivers who are at the top of the championship in the Constructors. And there you have it. Not as close a qualifying as we've come to know, and I say that with
Don't
2/10.
complain, Matt.
You know I'm going to complain if it's not 1/10 separating the top 10, Nick.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great job from Freddie Rasmussen, and it's great to have Kiefer there as well. Longuet's going to be looking, isn't he, for his first win in F1 Esports Pro Series. It's going to be a really, really exciting race, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Tara Caraton can do in P9 there. And a shame for Danny Beresne and Jarno Opmeer. What can they do from P11 and P16?
We know that Jarno Opmeer definitely likes an alternate strategy, doesn't he? So I'd be very interested to see what he manages from P16. It is possible to go medium softs, and the Silverstone circuit on this game isn't particularly harsh on tyre wear, so there can be differences in race strategy. So there still is an opportunity for Opmeer. I didn't really but you get one.
An opportunity for Opmeer. Yeah, no, for sure. And if anyone can do it, it's going to be Jarno Opmeer. We've seen in the past he's really made those medium tyres go the distance. And you think, has he left it a little bit too late to be able to put the softs on and come through? And he's done just that. Now this is the chance for him to do it. But as you said, tyre deg is very low at the moment at Silverstone. So maybe the soft tyre is a better option, and maybe going longer on that. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Let's start our first poll of the show. Can Marcel Kiefer repeat his 2019 win? It's going to be difficult from third on the grid, not impossible. As we've just mentioned, strategy is certainly a key talking point as we go into it. But from third on the grid, momentum from last year, he's already won this year, he's got a good chance.
100%, yeah, and anything can happen leading into turn one. He's just got to get a good start, hasn't he? And no mistakes. And it's all about pit stops as well. Coming into the pit lane, going out of the pit lane, all those little things that you don't really think about could all mean, fine details to get a final win.
Lots of things to look forward to this evening for the British Grand Prix, but let's move on. We're now going to Spa, another iconic track, and Sergio Perez takes us round.
Hi, I'm Sergio Perez from Racing Point. I love Spa. I think it's a fantastic place. All the fast, fluid corners. The more famous one, I think you know, it's Eau Rouge, but you have to find time in every single corner. So let's have a look on the onboard, and I hope you enjoy it. So here we start the lap, making sure that we get a good turn one. It's so easy to lose 2/10 in this corner. It's a long way down to Eau Rouge, and from that point until the next braking, it's everything flat out, so exit is very important. Eau Rouge these days is pretty easy. DRS activation there, and again we arrive into a combination of corners, right, left, very fast chicane, trying to be precise in both of them, just touching the white lines, not quite the curves, to make sure you don't upset the car. Very bumpy entry, missing a bit the apex, but getting a good traction. Then combination of fast corners, pushing hard. Turn 11, I think. Oh, this is a fast, using all of the road, inside and outside, just on the limit. Another combination of right, left. Very important one to make sure that we are on it, and we are onto the final part of the track, flat out from that point until the next braking zone. And it's looking like a great lap. I think that was a pretty solid one. Hard to find anything more, and now we get into the chicane. The tires tend to have a bit of a cooling before we brake in, so this is a very hard braking zone. We get a bit of traffic, which is not ideal there because of the tailwind it produces, and then this is the final place. I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, big thanks to Sergio Perez taking us round. Now his F1 Esports counterpart, Lucas Blakely, a man that had a lot of hype about him after the Pro Exhibition races, Nick, taking us round this Spa iconic track. You know, it's been spoken about a lot, but where are the big moments where you can make time up and also overtake an opportunity?
Well, firstly here, This is probably the longest. This is the longest straight you're going to find yourself at here at Spa. It's all about getting into that DRS, into the slipstream, and maximising your braking into this right and left-hander. But your competitor can try and hang it around the outside to defend. But as Sergio Perez said, very bumpy into this right-hander, and making sure you don't understeer too wide and getting good direction change for the left-hander. Don't extend it too much on the exit, and then it's poo on. Is it poo on?
Yeah.
It is poo on.
Yeah,
I was right.
Don't doubt yourself.
Double left-hander. I did doubt myself on that one. But yeah, lots of opportunities to get close to your competitors, but not necessarily to overtake. It's all about the DRS down the straight.
It absolutely is. And I think the one big difference we saw is that Sergio Perez said in his hot lap, he was avoiding the curbs. We can see Lucas Blakely really attacking them on every pretty much entry and exit of the corners, and that's going to be something that's they may well tease track limits as well if they're constantly doing that, as Lucas Blakely now comes to the final few corners. Obviously, you could be on the best lap of your life, but then you come to the bus stop chicane, snatch a break, and the whole lap's ruined.
That's completely it, and it's all about that braking, isn't it? And then the direction change and traction is very, very key here to make sure you get across the line and don't lose any time, and make sure all the gears, all the upshifts, are perfect.
Absolutely, and it's one of those tracks where you have to work out whether you want to go for strip away the downforce and go for a bit more straight line speed, maybe a bit more overtaking opportunities come the race. But then do you actually go for high downforce for that middle sector and really try and utilise track position, maybe take pole in qualifying?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and it's whatever's going to be, I think, more beneficial for the driver's driving style as well, because each driver is completely different in terms of how they like the car. But let's see, it's a fantastic circuit, and it's going to be a great opportunity for the drivers to show what they've got.
Yeah, and there's going to be an interesting thing as well, because obviously we have Q1, Q2, Q3, and they are 18, 15 and 12, if I believe, minutes. But especially Q3, you don't have many laps, do you, to make this count because of such a long out lap. Then you go round again, then you have to do an in lap. There's not many bites of the cherry at this one.
Yeah, this is it. It's all about getting that banker in, isn't it? And making sure you don't make any mistakes at all. And I think the banker is so important in all 3 sessions because it is a long out lap. And these drivers are going to be sitting in the pit lane for a while in the first, in Q1 and Q2 to wait for the track to evolve. So if they do make a mistake, they could find themselves really struggling to get that second lap.
Looking forward to this one. Let's take a look at the driver lineup and who will be taking part in this afternoon's qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. And some very familiar faces. Philip Presneder, though, coming in for the FDA Hublot Esports team, replacing Enzo Benito. That's an interesting choice, isn't it?
Yeah, that is really interesting. It gives Philip the opportunity, doesn't it, to show what he's got against David Tonitza and show that Ferrari and the FDA Hublot team have made the correct choice.
Absolutely. The McLaren lineup of Danny Moreno and James Baldwin looking like they're slowly but surely looking stronger and stronger as we go event by event, really. At the start I was doubting it a little bit, because of the fact they were all new pretty much to the series. But they've certainly made a good impact. So we take a look at the second page now. And we've got Michael Romanidis in, replacing Sally Saltunk, obviously the man that you remember as the celebrity coining. These are the trophies for the Esports Championship in front of us, not your celebrity trophies or anything like that. But it's going to be really interesting, as you say, quite a few opportunities for some of the drivers that haven't had a moment to really show what they're made of. Yeah,
and especially Williams. I think they haven't really decided on their lineup, have they? They've been chopping and changing. Who should we put in first, second driver, etc. So I think they've got Michael Romanidis back, who did a really good job when he did his debut, and Alvaro Carreton, who was on pole, wasn't he, in Austria?
Yep.
He's definitely got what it takes. I think it's a good lineup for them. And as you said about Danny Moreno and James Baldwin, everybody has to start somewhere. Everybody's going to have be a debutant at some stage, and it's great that McLaren Shadow have got 2 debutants there. And as you said, they're getting stronger and stronger, and especially Danny Moreno.
Indeed they are. Now, we like a bit of reminiscing in this show. We've taken a look at Silverstone 2019. Let's take a look at 2019 Spa and what happened in the race highlights.
Freddie Rasmussen alongside him on the front row. All 5 lights are on. We're racing in Spa. Good getaway from Berezhny. He's going to hold the lead as they come into the hairpin right-hander at La Source, and there goes Otmir. Immediately up the inside of the Red Bull. Down towards Lecom. Rasmussen's got the inside of the Red Bull. It's almost going to be 3 wide with Jano Otmir involved in the fight as well. Berezhny holds the lead. No!
To be flat behind the car in that corner. Look, yes, immediately they try to overtake him. He's going to have it on the inside.
Berezhny into the lead then for Alfa Romeo. So Rasmussen goes past Berezhny and back into the lead of the race. Berezhny then tucks back into the slipstream, and the two continue to pull clear.
Oh, Berezhny is coming back. Have the stream, and now he's trying to take the position from the inside. Yeah, it was easy.
Alfa Romeo for this season now into the pit lane. I think Rasmussen's gonna have this through the right-hand hairpin, and it's going to be close, and it is Rasmussen, only just.
Could be leading on to the last lap, isn't the way forward.
Oh, he missed it!
Rasmussen's gone in too deep, and that allows Berezhny up the inside.
Battle for the DRS, so they wanted to go slow through the first corner. Berezhny's got it.
And there goes Berezhny, Daniel Berezhny, who's going to take the win.
Yes! Come on! Get in there, my boy!
Berezhny at his very best. Now we've got another man at his very best, the peak of his career, one would say, being on this quali show. It's Mr. Tom Deacon. Come in. Here he is. Yes, love it. Waving to absolutely
no one. Do you know what? This is genuinely a highlight of my week.
Yeah.
When I get to come on the qualifying show, it's just never knowing when one of you is going to mug me off. It's an absolute treat to be back. Nick, great to see you.
I don't think we know either. That's the thing. We don't know when we just blurt something out that's offensive.
And the best time is normally something I'll say and deliberately mug myself off. So it is an absolute pleasure to be back. And look at this, Nick's trophies. This is great.
Yeah.
Mine.
Our celebrity status. They're brilliant.
Yep. I just wanted to quickly jump in.
Sure.
Are you making off on
I think I know where this is going.
No, it wasn't actually. It was about Davide Valsecchi.
Yes.
Oh.
And how enthusiastic he is. But just imagine trying to commentate in Italian. Because obviously, he does it all in English.
It wouldn't go very far because I'd have very little to say.
Grazie mille.
But I know what you mean.
Ciao.
I know what you mean. Maybe that's what he does.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, that's so true. And actually, here we go. Q1 is underway.
Yeah.
Tom, you've got your notes.
Of course I have.
Lots of them, in fact. Are they all written? Is there
Yes, handwritten.
3?
Well, printer ink cartridges are quite expensive these days, so I'm trying to
Save the planet as well.
save the planet
I like-
as well.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I've got a couple. Whenever you want a little
Throw
fact.
one in because they're on intermediates. We don't really care about that at the moment. So.
So true. Yes, you were talking about Filip Schneider. Very excited to see that Slovakian driver coming in for his debut. We've had a few. Last week we had Chinaka Clay making his debut. It was good to see Floris Vyers in the qualifying for Silverstone getting ready. It's nice to see him back in it. But interesting enough, last year, and I wanted to ask Nick about this, Spa, Berezhny, Rasmussen, Otmir was the 1, 2, 3. That's how they finished in qualifying and held on to those positions. Do you expect the same again today when they go and race?
I mean, you can see from the race highlights from 2019, it was a close race, wasn't it? It was a close battle. So it might not be just like that. I think it's going to be a very exciting one, especially with these DRS zones, long back straight. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, as I said.
Now, not to break up all of your incredible note flowing, but we've actually got a very important guest that's waiting to speak to us. I'm sure he's very happy to be on the show. It's Mr. Lando Norris. Lando, how are you, mate? Are you good?
I'm wonderful, Matt. How are you?
I'm very well. Look at you in your little Twitch dungeon. I love it. It's brilliant with the Lando Norris.
Cozy.
Just in case you forget your name. Have you been watching?
In case. Yeah.
Have you been watching any of the esports action so far?
I have done. I've watched the past few weekends. I'm watching Quang right now as well. But it's been good. I've seen a lot of the races. I saw the place we haven't been to yet, but can't remember the name of it. Remind me what
Hanoi.
is. What's it? Yes,
Vietnam.
Hanoi. So I watched that race.
Right, mate, I got you back.
He's an F1 driver, isn't he?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I don't know where we go to, throughout the year. I just turn up. But,
Someone books your flights.
They've looked very good and really exciting. A lot of racing, even on the last lap of it. yeah, they've been good to watch.
Yeah, McLaren's been pretty strong as well in the last few. But you've actually launched a new esports team, haven't you, Lando? Team Quadrant or Quadrant Esports, whatever you want to call them. It's very exciting. Thanks for the invite. But are you looking forward to all the stuff that you'll be getting up to?
Yeah, your invite will be coming soon, Matt. You know,
it's in the post, right? Yeah, cool. I'm just waiting for it, mate.
Announcement, you know, separate to when I release the team. So, yeah, soon. But yeah, I'm really excited. Obviously, this is what I love doing. I'm sitting in this chair right here. I love, you know, watching these things and playing all these games, and it's something I've done for many years and since I was a kid. So, to kind of expand on it and yeah, use my platform of what I do as well to kind of grow another one of my dreams, which is to create an esports team, which is what I've done. So I'm super excited, and like you said, I've done much better, I would say, this year so far than what they've been doing last year. So it's good to see them making improvements, and the new drivers we have are also yeah, doing a much better job.
So you were involved in the virtual Grand Prix, although we won't talk about Lando Bot and all the things and the problems that you had. But in terms of if we did get underway, maybe in the future it happens again, can we expect you with a working computer to take part again?
No. You're great. You're up as we speak, so it's not the easiest to hear what you're saying. But I don't know. My internet's still not any better than what it was. So if I did, I'll probably still have issues. I still have issues doing my streaming. So I don't have the greatest amount of confidence to say I can compete in esports. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be times coming up this winter, next season, where I might compete in a little race.
Now you're still there, you are, good. We've changed to the full qualifying format this season. Do you enjoy F1 Saturdays, or do you prefer to get through it and get to the race? And I guess if we ask it into Turkey, what happened in Turkey, did you prefer qualifying or the race?
I mean, Turkey, everything was weird and different to normal. So every time we went on track, it was extremely difficult. You had to concentrate a lot. But it was really fun at the same time because it was so different to normal. So, no, I like the new format. I think shake things up and make them a little different. It's a new challenge for the drivers. So it's also, and some people prefer it, some people don't. But at the same time, as drivers, you kind of like having a new challenge and something different, something that pushes you as a driver that little bit more, like Turkey did last week. So, yeah, for my preference, I prefer it. But I like having a separated qualifying and race. I like having two different sessions. But like I said, everyone prefers something different.
Yeah, it was absolute carnage. We've seen some impressive rookie performances from Danny Moreno from McLaren Shadow this season. Have you got any words of advice for him on how to deal with being a rookie driver on the grid?
No.
No, I didn't think there would be anything anything of use.
Lando,
I mean, he's been doing a good job. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to ask a question.
He's about to give his advice, and then Danny Moreno sat there.
He said he didn't have any.
Yeah, be like that.
Oh, okay.
No, I was going to say he's doing a good job. He's been doing a race so far, and he's learning in every race, and he's improved already from the beginning. You know, from the first race to the race he's done. He's made improvements and he's scoring now more regular. So I think it just comes with time and keep chipping away.
Yeah, and the best thing about Danny Moreno, he has really good internet. So that's the main difference between you and him, Lando. Well done on your DHL fastest lap from Turkey.
Yes.
Obviously, these drivers are going to be trying to go as fast as they possibly can in qualifying. And also, by the way, congratulations in following the footsteps of Romain Grosjean with his esports team as well, Lando. Was that the main reason that you moved into it?
Yeah, Roman's the guy I've looked up to.
I was going to say, I don't think Romain Grosjean is Lando's inspiration. But Lando, another question from me. Have you enjoyed the F1 circuit this year with the fact that, with the fact that, there were so many different tracks. We've been to so many awesome, like Imola, Turkey, as we've already mentioned, although that was a very different experience. Have you enjoyed it as I guess you are of a younger generation, but I'm sure you can still appreciate the history, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, some of the tracks I've raced at before. So, Imola, Mugello, I raced at in Italy. Turkey, I've never been to. I've been to. So, it's very different to, driving in a Formula 4 car. And F1 is insane how quick some of these corners are. And Imola Mugello, I would say, probably one of the fastest tracks we've done. We're pulling, 6 6.5G in some of the corners. But it's a whole difference compared to a Formula 4 car. But it's nice, again, challenge the drivers, kind of give them best time to, like we have done in Hockenheim, for example, and in Imola, where we only have FP1. And just try and get on in one session and kind of push them a bit more to the limit. So I've liked them. A lot of the tracks have been cool, and they've made for very, very fun races and exciting races. Maybe Imola was the only non-exciting race, but it's nice, and hopefully we can do them again next year.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Lando. I'll let you get on with building an internet satellite dish outside of your home, because I don't know how you stream, because it's literally like watching a flick book. But Lando, thanks so much for coming on the show.
No problem, so thanks for having me.
No worries. Right, so the rest of qualifying is still getting underway. We've got 8 minutes and 4 seconds remaining. We've missed nothing. Freddie Rasmussen's just winding up now for a fast lap, as you saw that line, didn't you, Nick, where he's gone so wide outside just after the bus stop chicane to get the best run down towards turn 1.
Yeah, that's setting up your lap, isn't it? And any gain or time that you can gain on the exit, you're going to carry it all the way down to turn 1. But as Sergio Perez said in his onboard lap, he said it's so easy to lock up and give away 2/10 at the apex. But this is where it's all about top speed, making sure, depending what setup you have, whether you've gone for less downforce, more downforce, this is where you're going to see it.
Such a good driver, isn't he, Freddie? I mean, Matt, one of the notes I had here was the fact that Freddie Rasmussen, his 15th podium was secured in F1 Esports in his career in Event 2, our last time we were here in the Gfinity Arena. So if anyone's going to get on the podium and set good qualifying times, it's going to be Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie's just so consistent. He always turns up. I don't think, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's missed a Q3 so far this season. He's always been in the mix. We haven't really ever had a Red Bull massive scalp in qualifying, at least. And here we are riding on board with him. It's quite a long lap, isn't it? So we won't really know a huge amount until he crosses the line. A 1 minute 12.4 through the middle sector. We don't have anything to reference right now, Nick, but banker laps are incredibly crucial in Q1, especially when everyone's leaving it to the last minute.
Yeah, this is what I was saying at the start of the show, wasn't it? This lap is so long and so important. Every corner is so important. So it's a small mistake around one corner and that's it. But you've got to get that banker lap in. You can see right at the end of the braking phase, just locking up a little bit. And what time does Freddie Rasmussen do? It is you're closer to the screen than I am to be able to see that.
A 1 minute 40.
Point
265.
It's not telling me on here right now. Oh, now it is. 1 minute 40.2. Yeah, so Beresnay slots in with 1 minute 40.5. Purple in every single sector is Rasmussen at the moment. Nobody else going quicker. He did go a little bit deep into the last sector. What are you laughing at, Tom?
I don't know. I'm laughing because Nick's laughing, and I'm just a vibe person. You know, I'm feeling the vibe.
Guy.
I'm just
Would you
a vibe
jump
guy.
off a cliff if someone else told you to jump off the cliff?
No, it depends how high it was and whether there was an instructor and do I have a wetsuit on. But
wetsuit, okay.
Yeah,
if it's into the sea. Okay.
If you're going to get wet, be protected. Listen, Matt, I was just.
You always bring the best inside.
I was just going to say, from Joni Tormula in Austria, we saw kept invalidating his times, his lap times, and therefore didn't have that banker, and it was so poor, the one he set. So just to follow on from Nick's point, it's just so important to get that banking lap in.
Banking lap?
Yeah.
Banking lap.
Listen, if there's an
This
interest...
isn't Zandvoort, mate, there aren't
if
banks.
there's interest to be made, now's the time to get into banking.
Oh, that's why we get you in for Q1, Tom. We absolutely love this stuff. So Brendan Lee is currently on a flying lap at the moment. He is yet to set a lap time. Freddie Rasmussen's actually set a blinding lap time there. 2/10 or just over 2/10 clear of Fabrizio Donoso in P2. We should expect to see one more run from everybody as the track evolution starts to wind in and it gets quicker and quicker. Brendan Lee leaving it quite late, Nick.
Yeah, yes and no. Yeah, probably.
Bad banking. Bad banking.
Yeah, he needs a new banking manager, don't you think, Tom?
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of, does he have enough time to set this lap time,
I mean,
go round again, pit, and then set another one? I think this is it.
I mean, at the moment, this lap is looking pretty solid for him, to be fair. No mistakes, hitting every apex, a lot of speed carried in. He's had some traffic on this lap, but it hasn't affected him. Look how concentrated Brendan Lee is with that amazing screen. I want to just send him a text and see where I can find that.
He's not actually on a flying lap, unfortunately. I'm looking at the times, and I think he's racing to get back into the pits. Wow. So I believe he must have invalidated his last lap time.
Oh.
He's not even looking at the screen, so I'd imagine he's looking at something else, but he's going to be coming into the pits, and that is not going to be a lap time on the board for Brendan Lee so far.
It's interesting to watch Brendan Lee and how he responds to Event 2 and maybe not hitting the pace that him and the rest of the Mercedes team have looked for, but they're going to be sending it today, and I'm watching it now, and it doesn't look like that's happening.
This is going to be interesting because Brendan Lee made a mistake back in Canada, didn't he? I think it was Q1 or in Q2, something like that, and he only had one lap to get that to get in. So he's basically put himself on the back foot yet again. He'll know in the back of his mind that he's been in this situation before. He'll be a little bit frustrated, but he knows that if he does, he's got the opportunity to pull it out of the bag.
Yeah, he's got one more to go. If you're wondering what I'm holding, this is the timings that I've got and no one else has, so sorry. I'm not just browsing
what
the
makes
internet
you so
whilst it's
stressful?
going.
I can't
I'm
see
sorry, Nick. Blame the gallery. But interestingly, so the three that haven't set a time, Biancalila, Moreno and Lee, set a 40.9 for Biancalila, a 40.6 for Moreno and a 40.7 for Lee. Obviously they're invalidated, so don't count, but they have the pace, clearly, to get in the mix, to get out of Q1, but it's just that pressure maybe pushing a little bit too hard into an area of the track where track limits are quite harsh. We've seen the drivers, especially with Lucas Blakely with that hot lap, with how much he was attacking the curbs, that it is very fine margins as to whether or not these lap times will count.
Yeah, it is, but it's also good to see because in real life racing, track limits are very, very strict. So what you might see in the game itself may not be as strict as it is in real life. So it's great to see that these track limits are really being enforced. So it means that every driver has to be inch perfect to get the lap they need.
Sorry, Nick. Biancalila now on a lap, and I just wanted to get your thoughts, Tom, because every time we see Biancalila, you usually say he's going to get replaced. So
listen,
he's probably got your words ringing in his head right now.
Listen, can I just be very clear to everybody? Biancalila, and also in that team is Joni Tormela. Waiting in the wings is Patrick Holtzman, a very experienced F1 Esports driver. What I suggested was he just needs to up his game, and he has done so because he is, looking after himself. So I would say, Biancalila, you know what you achieved in, just double checking on this, in Canada. You know you've got the potential. Come on, pull it out of the bag. No pressure, but come on.
No pressure, but
come on,
pressure. 1 minute 25 to go, and the drivers are all winding up for one final lap, apart from Freddie Rasmussen and Fabrizio Donoso, who have decided they're going to stay in the pits, Nick. They think they're safe. I think it's fine for Freddie Rasmussen. I think a little bit risky for Donoso, especially with track evolution kicking in. All of these drivers are within a few tenths of a second on their day. Is it worth it on a 40.5 for Donoso?
I was just looking at that, and he's on a 40.5. If these guys find another tenth or a couple of tenths, I would say he's safe. I reckon he's got at least 3.5 tenths maybe in his pocket.
It's it's definitely probably a gamble that will most likely pay off, especially. But then you've got Marcel Kiefer, 2,000 slower than Donoso in third, and he's going out there.
Is the only reason he's staying in just to save the
tyres?
tyres?
Yeah, so he'll save a set of tyres, so maybe he'll go for an extra bite of the cherry in Q2 or Q3 if necessary. Here is Biancalila. We have that amazing Formula 1 graphic on the screen, which I absolutely love to see integrated into the F1 game by Codemasters, and he's flying through at the moment. This is a particular corner where you just need to make sure you don't extend, otherwise it will get invalidated, and we don't need that for Biancalila, who hasn't set a lap time yet. Down in 18th, you only need to be out of the bottom 5 in order to make it through to Q2. Another one at the corner with no name. Don't want to extend there either, as you can get a lap invalidated as well. Now through Pouon. Nick, you are right with that corner name.
I thought I was.
Absolutely chucks it in there, and it's looking like a solid lap at the moment, but as we've said before in this quality show, a solid lap sometimes isn't enough.
Yeah, that's exactly what we have, don't we, in the F1 Esports Pro Series. Every corner counts, so it's all about the exit here, making sure he maximises everything he can down to the back straight, and this is where he's going to be looking at all of his deltas, making sure if he's up, if he's down, where he is.
Danny Perezne.
Making sure he doesn't make any mistakes on upshifts, and then making sure he can maximise his braking into the final bus stop chicane. This is where you can ruin your lap. He said a little bit of a lock-up, good direction change, and it's all about that traction and getting on the power as soon as possible across the line. And he goes P8, which is
Never
a
in
great
doubt.
lap.
Never in doubt. I said to him, no pressure. Come on. Come on, and he's done it.
Marcel Kiefer, fastest of anybody, goes to the top of the timesheets. James Baldwin goes up to P6,
Yeah,
great lap, now down to 7th. Philip Presneda's had a pretty good qualifying as well, currently in 7th. Danny Moreno, he's in 6th position, that's his qualifying over. Who's in the drop zone? Lucas Blakely, Romanidis, well, Alvaro Caraton up to P9, so now it's Haddad. Lucas Blakely goes up to 15th, he's on the cusp. You've got Huis, Haddad, Romanidis, Tome and Brendan Lee still in the bottom 5. Here's Romanidis, currently in 18th. Where does he go with this lap? He goes up to P11, which puts Lucas Blakely back in the drop zone and out in Q1.
So this is it. This is everything for Brendan Lee, isn't it? Into this last bus stop chicane. Gets it right, hits the apex, goes left. Can he get on the power, get good traction? Where does he go? He is dead last at the moment. P4. And goes P4.
Never in doubt. I tell you what, my heart was in my mouth. I was like, he's left it so late, needing to set that time. But that is what you expect of Brendan Lee.
Sorry, Tormala out as well. He's in 16th, so it's Tormala, Biancalila, Blakely, Haddad and Tome are the 5 out. So Yoni Tormala, well, are you going to be on the phone to him this time saying his seat's in danger?
Well, it's interesting with Yoni Tormala. He'd scored points in every single race, apart from the last one in Austria. That was the first time to break that succession. And again, not doing what you'd expect of him to do in qualifying. And that just shows the pressure of the Q1, Q2 and Q3 qualifying we have.
Absolutely. There is Cedric Tome, not particularly happy with that, I imagine, down in P20. The troubles.
I think he just qualified in 15th.
Yeah, I think he just got through.
Oh well,
that's a smile. Cedric Tome is smiling, and for the Haas team that I always rave about, doing amazingly well. And yes, bingo. I'm going to say his name, Simon Weigang. There you go, full house for everybody. I've said it, Simon Weigang. Best of luck for this race.
We'll get clarification of who are the bottom 5. Here's Yoni Tormala, who is out. And he does not look particularly happy.
I've just seen that emoji, that's the angry one.
What, in the reflection of his glasses?
I just know where it is.
There's Lucas Blakely again. Just can't seem to find that rhythm and that pace that he's shown before, but maybe it's just this new game, because obviously the exhibition races happened on the previous game, and it can change. The handling does change year by year, and sometimes games just don't suit you, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be very disappointed, isn't he? He knows he's got what it takes. He knows he's got the talent and the ability. But yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what's cost him his lack of pace, I would say, to have that killer final lap to at least put him into Q2.
Yeah, especially as I thought that because we are in this remote environment where all the drivers have their own setups, then I felt like maybe they would just, you know, especially the likes of Lucas Blakely, who shone in those exhibition races, would be one of those to really come to the forefront.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it might be the game, getting used to that. And also the fact that we are putting so much pressure on these drivers. The schedule was there from day one. They've had 2 weeks to become perfect at the next track that they are going to be racing on. And I think some of these drivers are going to excel at that, and others aren't, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Before we head into Q2, let's take a look at the eliminated drivers from Q1. And it is James Baldwin who goes out in Q1. Yoni Tormala, Manuel Biancalila, Lucas Blakely and Daniele Haddad. So my timings were sending me down the wrong river there, Nick. But it's James Baldwin who is a big scalp, and one that you wouldn't have expected, because he was looking pretty good in Silverstone qualifying.
Yeah, and this is the thing, because it looked like his lap looked good enough to put him through to Q2, but with it being so close, he basically went, I think it went from P7 down to P16, so what a shame for him. And Yoni Tormala, again, not making the cut. And Lucas Blakely, as we've already discussed, both Racing Point drivers going to be very disappointed with that. And as we know, Danny Haddad always wears his heart on his sleeve.
Absolutely. We've said goodbye to those 5 drivers. We've also said goodbye to Tom Deacon. And we're saying hello to Mr. Alex Jacques. Come in, my partner in crime.
Thank you.
We don't have a crowd, as much as that was pretty much a standing ovation from everyone in the studio. Alex, how are you? You've got your signature F1 Esports mug.
I've got the mug.
It's the quali show.
It's my happy place, this. My happy place. Nick, great to see you.
Great to
Matt,
see you,
you're
bud.
absolutely acing this. Another brilliant session, one of the best tracks in the world. What could be better, my friend?
Well, I guess Q2 getting underway very shortly will be very good. And then obviously the races later on as well this evening. Very excited. 3 iconic tracks, Nick. Why am I calling you Nick?
Oh,
You're Alex.
He loves me.
It's because it's a celeb.
You give him one
He's
compliment, Nick. You give him one compliment, and he's like, yeah, I really am that good.
And I've forgotten who you are. But 3 iconic tracks, Alex.
Yes.
Really excited to see how this all unfolds this evening.
Yeah, going to be really exciting to see. Event number 3, we've got Silverstone. What a brilliant circuit. Proper driver tracks, these. Silverstone, Spa, Monza, brilliant circuits. Places where the driver can make the difference. And I thought that was a great last session that we ran there, because you could see the drivers trying to hang on to it for such a long lap time. It's hard to do, certainly around here.
Yeah, they're not hanging around in Q2 as we've seen throughout the quali show. It's Q2 is where they go straight out to try and get a banker in. And here is Jarno Watmir into the bus stop chicane. Huge amount of momentum and doesn't end up finishing his lap time. So I wonder if that was an invalidation. But I actually need to throw now because we have a very... Oh, Nick's getting very excited.
I did.
We also have another...
I was expecting him to turn left, but he didn't.
We also had a very exciting guest, and I'm going to throw to past me, who spoke to George Russell. Well, thank you, future me. We actually have George Russell right here to talk to. George, how are you doing?
Doing very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Firstly, I've got to talk about it before we dive into the world of esports. How was Turkey? Was it slippery all the way to the airport? Did you enjoy it?
It was... do I sound ungrateful if I say I didn't enjoy it? I don't know. It's not a pleasant experience, to say the least. You know, I've driven in difficult conditions before, in very wet conditions as well, but this was just, it was a joke, to be honest. And it was, I saw Daniel Ricciardo said it's like a robbery for these F1 cars to be in conditions like this, and that was true. It was not... wasn't a pleasant experience.
I think it's safe to say the 20 F1 drivers didn't enjoy it, but probably the millions watching weren't detesting those conditions as much.
No. That's the thing. How do we draw the line? But yeah, from within, it wasn't the best experience I've ever had in a Formula 1 car.
In terms of, let's dive now to esports. Have you been able to tune into any of the F1 Esports Pro Series so far? And if so, what have you made of it?
I mean, I've been seeing all of the highlights and what have you on the F1 channels and what have you. I mean, it seems like we got a clear dominant winner in Jarno Watmir. He just seems to be flying every time I...
Oh, don't say that, George. Come on, you've got to hype it up. It's anyone's to win.
I thought he's got like double the amount of points of everybody else.
Nah, it's fine. It's doable. It's fine, George. But Alvaro Carreton, he's been flying the flag for Williams. I really enjoyed the little sort of that movie kind of audition you had with Williams when you were at the was it the factory where you were doing your little good luck video?
When I was cleaning my trophy.
That was it. Yeah.
It doesn't take me very long. There's not many to clean, to be honest. So.
Well, Speaking of that trophy, George, obviously the Virtual GP was such an awesome series of races and so many people tuned in and enjoyed it. If another one happens, can we expect you to be retaining your unofficial crown?
I'd love to be honest, because it was so much fun between all the drivers, so much banter. Thing is, it took a lot of hard work and effort. I don't want to come in and obviously it's a new game now. The new 2020 F1 game is it's so much better than the old one, which is great. But it takes time and effort to get to the standard that I was at before. So I need to see how my off season and winter break is going. But if we're still stuck in lockdown, I guess I'll be tuning in and getting back into some winning, I hope.
Absolutely love that. And George, you're actually great at segueing right now, because my next question is about the improvement that you showed, because I guess at the start of the Virtual GP series, you maybe weren't up there with the likes of Leclerc and Albon, but then by the end of it, you just absolutely wiped the floor with them. What was the secret? Was it just hard work and determination, or did you find a few little nuances in the game that they hadn't?
Maybe a little bit of both. I guess hard work and determination. I mean, I was ready to pack it in, to be honest. I was trying. After a couple of weeks of practice, I was still nowhere. And then just suddenly one day, it just sort of clicked and I found loads of lap time. And then it was just like a snowball effect and it was just getting better and better. My girlfriend wasn't best pleased because I spent so much time just sat behind the computer practicing. So that was one of the downside of esports, but nevertheless, I don't know. It was a lesson in life, I guess, that if you want to succeed, you got to put the hard work and effort in.
Now, one final question from me, George. Obviously, you're an avid viewer of the quali show. I won't even go into the fact that, you sit there tuning in, watching my mug. But in terms of the qualifying, we obviously have Q1, Q2 and Q3 this year. So there's extra pressure on the drivers. But you have, like, the top 10 separated by 1/10 of a second. How does a driver find that minuscule amount of time to potentially not even be knocked out in Q2 to getting pole?
Yeah, that's the thing. The level is so high for all of these drivers. I'd like to think it would be similar in F1 if we all have the same car as well, which would make for some amazing viewing. I don't know. You got to not let the pressure get to you. I think for me, when I jump in a high pressure situation, don't try and do more than you have to. You just got to continue doing what you're doing. All of those drivers can do very fast lap times, and it's just about being relaxed. And when you've got that one lap and you've got to nail it, just try to be as calm and relaxed and just tell yourself, I can do it because I've done it I'm sure they've done it all in the practice before. So that's part of racing, part of the pressure, I guess.
Well, you are literally Mr. Invincible at qualifying at the moment. I hope I haven't jinxed you, but George, you are the master of qualifying and it's been great to watch. George, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us on the Quali Show.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, guys.
And there's George Russell, hinting at an F1 equal car championship. Yes, please. I don't think the constructors would be too happy about that, but that'd be quite exciting to have a one-off, wouldn't it?
Certainly would, and you can see why George would want that equalising. Yeah. I think Formula One would argue that is what is coming in 2022, so not long for George to wait.
Fingers crossed. So 5 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in this Q2 session, and look who it is at the top of the timesheets once again, Freddie Rasmussen, looking very strong and more like what we've got used to, Nick, from previous seasons, where right at the top and pretty bulletproof.
Yeah, he's really starting to come into his own now, isn't he? And Jana Watme is having to settle for second best currently. Jana will be happy to be there, still biting or nibbling at the heels of Rasmussen. So if he makes a mistake, he could potentially take pole position away from him, but he's got to look really close in his mirrors and realise that Marcel Kiefer is still there, P3. So it's really, really tight in the top three for those drivers, and they seem to be so consistent week in, week out.
There'll be no complaining from me this time, Nick, about how close qualifying is, because it's 45 thousandths of a second separating the top five.
Nice.
Around Spa, Alex.
I mean, that's the mad thing, isn't it? Longest lap of the year, and yet the margins seem to have come down.
It's just
absolutely ridiculous.
I need therapy seeing this. It's crazy.
Nicholas Longuet into the pits there with 4 minutes to go. No time on the board in the way of one of the Haas cars there. So interesting to see what he does. Not too long left in this session for Tomé, for Longuet and for Philippe Presneda. As back to the pits comes Marcel Kiefer.
A good performance so far, Nick, isn't it, from Philippe Presneda? We mentioned that it's a great opportunity to show your potential. He gets out of Q1, which isn't the easiest thing to do. We saw Jana Watme drop out of Q1 at Silverstone, Danny Berezne at Vietnam. It's a good performance so far.
Yeah, if I was him, I'd be happy just to get out of Q1. We know how difficult it is with the quality of drivers. And, we don't know how much practice he's been putting in, but the fact that he's out of Q1 straight away is a great achievement. He's got some time to do his final lap. He's put himself under a little bit of pressure because he's got to get that lap done. He's got to get the best lap he can to try and get out of Q2. But so far, so good for him.
So you're seeing our faces once again, but we will go full screen when we get to the spicy moments where Mr. Alex Jacques and I go full excitement with Nick. You got very excited before when I was trying to do a link. What was that for again?
Sorry, it was the way the camera angle was, and I thought Rasmussen was.
That was it. Yeah, because I missed that.
Or not go left.
I was like, what's going on? But
a little bit of a lag. That's what I'm going to put it down to.
I think my watch just started talking to myself, but. We're just winding up now for the outlap, Alex, and a bit of pressure on Philippe at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to deliver. Tomé, Longuet and Philippe Presneda got to deliver. No time on the board. Guaranteed exit if they make one mistake, if they go wide. Nick, there's so many corners around this racetrack where it's easy to invalidate your lap. Where's the most obvious place that they'd run wide and they'd throw it all away?
I would say that the corner with no name, which we're actually about to come into here, because drivers want to try and get on the power as soon as possible and carry as much momentum through the mid corner and apex. And it's very, very strict there. And especially here, the final section of Pouan, like running a bit too wide there could definitely invalidate your lap. But it's pretty much everywhere, which is really good, because as I said before, it means all drivers have to be inch perfect to make sure they get what they need.
Business end of the session now, Alex. All of them on their outlaps, apart from Fabrizio Donoso, who is still in the pits, according to that graphic, which means no more running for Donoso, and he's very much on the cusp at the moment to get through to Q3.
Yeah, just ahead of David Tonitza at the moment. So this is where it all gets decided. Who's going through into the top 10? Remember, we've seen it's difficult to make progress through the field this year. Nice wide lock for Presneda, trying to give himself the straightest run possible onto the pit straight for the lap that he hopes will take him through into Q3. And it will be the last opportunity he has. Little bit of a lock-up into La Source, and then some of the best corners in the world of motorsport coming his way.
But pretty easy for an F1 game esports driver. It's flat all the way up, as we saw from that graphic, and Presneda just trying to shorten the distance as much as possible, even with that right kink, all the way over to the line as he now comes over the first sector split. It's a 29.8, which for reference is 1/10 of a second slower than Otmir's fastest in the first sector. Otmir is on a very quick lap at the moment. That's where he set the fastest sector of a 29.706. Still running ball with Philip coming through into the corner with no name. And lots of momentum there. And it's all about momentum, isn't it, Nick? And just carrying the speed, but not going too wide that you invalidate your lap.
Yeah, basically hold on here, turn in, super fast corner, 315 clicks at the moment. And it's so far so good for Presneda. It's looking really calm. Every apex has been hit, really smooth, not making any mistakes on traction. This looks like a really good lap for me, so I hope that he does the job. This is now the crucial part where every upshift has to be very perfect every time. He needs to upshift to make sure he doesn't hit the limiter, and then it's down into the heavy braking phase of this bust-off chicane, which could be really easy to lock up. He doesn't, hits the apex really nice and gets on the power. No oversteer there, which is great. And where does that put him?
P4.
P4, what a great lap.
Great lap for Philip, great last sector as well. Gets him in the mix to potentially make it through to Q3, which would be such a good performance. Here's his teammate, David Tonitza, coming over the line. He goes P2, just marginally ahead of his teammate, but that's 3 positions. Here's Romanidis, Alex, who's, currently at the moment out.
Yeah, needs a lap, needs to find something into the final chicane. He goes slightly deep there. Will it be enough for the driver who comes across the line? It will, up to 9th position at the moment, but still his teammate with a lap to come, still with this man with a lap to come. Nicolas Longuet across the line finds his way into the session, and that is a very relieved Frenchman indeed. He's got into 4th. Alvaro Carreton finds his way up into the top 10. He has delivered, and in doing so knocks his teammate out. But 2 Mercedes Bonahuis improving at the end there, and Brendan Lee, he's going to get through, but he's going to finish this lap anyway. Brendan Lee over the line to complete Q2, and he will progress along with the other 9 drivers. And you can see the frustration for Alvaro Carreton, who is one of 5 out in the second part of qualifying.
Our pole sitter for Austria, don't forget. That just shows how unbelievably close this series is, and how sometimes different tracks can get better, different drivers to the top of the pecking order. So the bottom 5 were Carreton, Romanidis, Tomei, Moreno and Donoso. So Donoso didn't go out for that final run, and that just shows with the track evolution, he was sat in P10, doesn't go out for one final lap, and he's right to the bottom, Nick.
Yeah, I don't really know why he wouldn't have gone out for his last run. So it's a shame for Donoso, because he was up there at the start of the qualifying session. You can see he's very upset about it, and especially also Danny Moreno to not make Q3, which is a shame for him, because he's been a man on a mission and a driver that's been really improving.
Yeah, McLaren have had a reasonably poor Spa qualifying. Baldwin out in Q1, then you have Moreno out in Q2, but you've got the 2 Mercedes in there. You've got Philip Presneda, a great performance so far, it has to be said, into Q3. big performance needed to keep that Ferrari seat, you think? Or do you reckon that Enzo Benito, they just think that he hasn't been performing, let's try something new?
I think it was worth a try, and you saw the nerves from Philipp Prisneder when he set the lap time, and he was like, okay, 4th, that's good. And then he was immediately like, please let that be
praying.
enough. He was praying as he went over the line. He knows that this is a great opportunity for him, because that's a team that's taken a driver to the championship last year, of course.
Absolutely. Someone else that would have been praying was Danny Berezne, who finished P10 in that session, so just making it through to Q3. But who didn't make Q3? Let's take a look at the eliminated drivers, and it's Carreton, Romanidis, Tomei, Moreno and Donoso. Donoso, again, he showed that bit of promise at Vietnam, got in the mix, unfortunately got that penalty right at the end of the race to not get as many points as he'd have hoped, but starting to tail off a little bit again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Danny Moreno as well, I think the frustration for him is, given that we saw his personal best in Canada as well, and he looked like a driver who was making steps forward, you've got to do it consistently, of course. And the Williams pair, quick but not quite quick enough.
Absolutely. So Carreton will be, well, we saw how upset he is to not make Q3. Romanidis, he's been around there, I'd say, this season so far with his performances. Tomei, I think he'll be quite happy with 13th, to be honest. He just scraped through Q1 and P13. It's clearly unbelievably close. I mean, it was 1,000th of a second separating those two. And then Moreno, I think, will be the most disappointed of those 5 after such a great Silverstone qualifying and feeling really good going into these races. 14th, Spa. It's going to be difficult, but at least it's a track that you can overtake, Nick.
Yeah, especially down those long back straights and the DRS zones. But if he doesn't maximise that, then it might be line astern and follow the leader through the rest of the circuit. So Dan Moreno's sort of got his work cut out. But let's hope he can do that for the race this evening as we head on into Q3.
So now we are into the final session of the day, and I'm going to put it to both of you gents, so get thinking of your predictions. We've got Berezne, Rasmussen, Kiefer, Weigang, Otmir, Longe, Lee, Presneder, Huis and Tanitsa. Who is getting pole, Mr. Nick Hamilton?
I'm going to go for Otmir pole.
Okay.
I'm going to go for Freddie Rasmussen.
No, I mean, that's just two very safe bets, and I'm going to have to go out.
Oh, go on then. Who are you going for?
I'm going to have
Who are you going
David
for,
Tanitsa.
Oh,
the reigning
he's
champ,
gone
back
wild.
on pole. Let's
he's
go.
gone wild.
But I think if anything's to go by from the first 2 qualifying sessions, it's going to be ridiculously close. And as I mentioned earlier, Danny Berezne probably breathing a sigh of relief that he's made it through to this final session. And here's his teammate Jarno Otmir, who's been sensational in qualifying. Apart from that slip-up in Silverstone, he's not bulletproof, but he's here in Q3 in the mix for pole.
Yeah, that's the first incident really all year from Jarno Otmir that suggested he was human after all, because he has been he's taken a real step forward with this year's game, but having to respond, and has responded in this qualifying session for Spa. His teammate, though, looking stronger than we've seen maybe since the opening round of the year, back in Bahrain when he was in contention, but he was just pipped by his teammate, the driver you're looking at the moment that day, as they make their way round for lap number 1 in this crucial Q3 session.
How would you prepare yourself, Nick? You've got Q3, clearly 2 bites of the cherry if you've saved enough of your tyres. I don't know why I keep using that phrase, but here we are, bites the cherry. How would you mentally prepare yourself for this kind of session? Would it be, are you one of those that goes, right, let's get a banker in, it might be a few tenths off, let's get a lap in somewhere in the top 10 so that you at least don't have 2 invalidated laps? Or do you just go, balls to the wall, let's go?
Yeah, no, if it was me, especially in this in Q3, I wouldn't be looking to get a banker as such. My lap would be just as on the limit, or my first lap would be just as on the limit as my second lap would be, because Otmir needs to almost learn in this lap, because he'll know that there will be some time on the table, and being able to then improve for his second lap. So he will not be leaving any stone unturned on this first lap, and I would be exactly the same.
Be interesting to see. Some of the drivers, I imagine, will be on old soft tyres, and then they'll have one fresh set for their final run. Because I'm looking at the first sectors. Otmir is up there with what he set in the second qualifying, a 29.7, and the fastest of anybody so far of the 9 that have gone through that first sector split. And Otmir matching Berezne through the middle. So it's quite close between Berezne and Otmir at the moment, Alex.
Why do you only get an iPad? I mean, Nick and I are sitting
sorry,
here just busking it.
There's not enough budget for 3 iPads.
I mean, just
apparently,
one
and
iPad.
It's COVID. I can't let you touch this.
Maybe you're asking for too much money.
I'm certainly not. But here's Otmir into the bus stop
After
again.
they've paid Matt's day rate, there's very little left. All right.
That's why Tom's on the show. I'm sorry,
it
you're
was all
laughing
going
loud.
so well. It was all running to time.
Love
it
you
was all
really,
running
Tom.
to plan. Good lap time that from Jarno Otmir ahead of his teammate. 1:40.6 and then a 40.7 for everyone else in the session. Philip Fresneda not too far away from his teammate for this round.
Rasmussen, sorry Alex, Rasmussen is on an absolute stonker. He's got some fresh set of tyres on. Let's see what he does as he goes over the line. 40.2, 4 tenths clear at the top.
That's the lap he did in Q1, wasn't it? So he knew he had that pace in the locker, and he's done just that at the start of Q3. What a great first lap for him.
Here's Brendan Lee. Can he get a lap time on the board that's somewhat reasonable? It is, it's P2. So as I mentioned, I think some of these drivers are using an older set, but Freddie Rasmussen, crucially, as we mentioned in Q2, was one of the only people not to set a second flying lap because he set such a great lap on his first attempt, which means he can have 2 goes right now.
Yeah, and this is why it's really also important for these drivers. As you said, how would I prepare myself? You know,
as the celebrity you are, of course.
Yeah, but just to make sure you can learn as much as you can on your first lap, because even if you're on an old set of tyres, there's more to learn. So by the time you get into your final lap, you've got everything you need in terms of mental preparation and preparation of the car and tyres and everything to make sure you can go flat out and make sure you get the lap you need.
Yeah, I mean, it's much better, isn't it, to go out, get your mind ready, even if it is a lap time that will put you 8th or 9th. You know, at least you can get ready for your final lap. But it puts a lot of pressure on you, doesn't it, Alex? The fact you've got 1 fresh set of tyres, unless you're Freddie Rasmussen, and you have to deliver. If you don't, you could find yourself 9th or 10th. Right now, Longay, 40.9, right at the bottom.
Yeah, it's race ruiner, isn't it? I'm not entirely sure that I'd fancy this way of doing it. I think I understand Freddie Rasmussen's tactics slightly more.
What do you mean, Alex? You'll be out in Q1, mate.
Well, obviously. I wouldn't be allowed anywhere near it.
There is a simulator up there.
Yeah,
I want to
but that's
see
just there. That's just there to tease you, mate.
Sure.
You know why that's up there. But no, I think the tactic of having 2 runs would make more sense, but they are the pros. They are the drivers that know what they're doing. And we're not too far away from the very sharp end of this session, and it's nice and open today. Be interesting to see which way it goes. We've got the usual contenders out front, but be interesting to see which way this one goes in a few moments' time.
It's a great lap from Brendan Lee, isn't it? We've seen previously that he likes to put a lot of pressure on himself. I don't think he likes it, but he puts himself under those pressure situations where he has to get 1 final lap in. We've seen it again today, and he got that lap in. He's in Q3. There are marks of the champion that we've seen in the first 2 seasons. We haven't seen him fighting for the win all the time, but if he starts P2 for later this evening, you could pop a few quid on that.
Yeah, definitely. You wouldn't want to discount him. Yeah, I would really like to see him get pole position, or at least in the top 3. And it's a great start for him to be up there already with a great banker. He'll know that you know, it's going to get faster, so each driver is going to find a little bit of time. So it's all to play for in these final laps of Q3. And let's hope that Brendan Lee can put it out of the bag.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying we're going to see a lot of improvements with the track evolution and with the fresh set of tyres. Jarno Otmir, Mr. Hot Lapper. I don't think he can be called that anymore, but we have definitely coined that phrase even more than what he was originally called it, so I'm sure he absolutely loves us for that. Because I don't think it was said in the nicest way. I think it's like he's fast but he can't race, but we've seen this season he can race, and anyone calling him that can throw it directly into the bin. And he's in the mix again, Alex. He's got his fresh set of rubber on. He's currently in P3. I think if he invalidates this lap, he could easily find himself 9th or 10th. So there's big pressure on all of the drivers, Jarno included, because he put a lot of pressure on himself after Silverstone.
Yeah, absolutely. Responded well to get into this session, but you're right. They've got to deliver right now, and they've got to find an empty part of the racetrack. They've got to deliver, and it's a long lap. It's a very long lap here. It's challenging as a result. And not only that, it's Spa. This is really, you know, it's a, as you said, slightly simple start once you get through La Source. But then this part of the racetrack, when you know it's going to come down to hundredths, maybe even thousandths of a second, This is where we find out who's put the hours in. And not only that, who's got confidence at this stage. We've heard earlier in qualifying sessions, I wanted to leave some time on the table because, you know, I was worried about invalidating the lap. The drivers at this stage of qualifying, not worried about that at all. They're looking for the maximum.
Right, so we're about to wind up for the final laps, which usually means it's full screen spicy time. And Jarno...
We'll get that on a graphic for you.
Full screen spicy time. I want that as a graphic for next time, please, gallery. But here we are, Jarno Opmeer, winding up. This is your prediction. Nick, this was your pole position. Take us through the lap.
Yeah, so we're setting the lap up and going into turn 1, a bit of a lock up into La Source, but it won't cost him too much as we head down the old pit straight. This used to be the pit straight a couple of years ago, but into the famous Eau Rouge, and nice and smooth. Try not to scrub too much speed and keep the wheel as straight as possible. Try and maximize all of your revs and the best exit possible down the back straight into the Kemmel chicane. Easy to lock up and make a little mistake on entry, but so far so good. Swing right. Try not to extend on exit, and a really downhill, bumpy right-hander. It goes on forever. Try and make sure you don't understeer too much. And then the corner with no name, really easy to extend on exit there. And then Pouan, hold on, close your eyes and turn in, and hope that you've hit the first apex, which Opmeer does so beautifully. And then another fast right and left flowing chicane with an exit that is another chance to extend. Oh, a little bit of oversteer on exit, but just managed to get it sorted. And it's stamp on the loud pedal and through the fast right-hander. And this is where he will know he's got a good lap under his belt, but he's still got that infamous bus stop chicane where it could all go wrong. So how late does he dare to break into the first right-hander? So far, so good. Hits the first apex and a good left-hander. Where does this put him? And he will go.
Sorry, Nick. So Beresnay's taken pole position. Jarno Opmeer had his lap time invalidated. Wow. I think it was the mistake that we saw. So Beresnay has taken provisional pole with a stonking lap of 40.159. Rasmussen, purple in the first sector, going even quicker. Tanitsa, fastest of anybody in the middle sector. This is not over. He goes third. Does Tanitsa, Kiefer in P2. They're all on 1 minute 40.1s. And Rasmussen, though, improving in the middle sector. Not the fastest, but definitely has a chance, Alex.
Yeah, Danny Beresnay, Marcel Kiefer, David Tanitsa, and then this man, currently in fourth from effort number 1, trying to improve to pole position with effort number 2. Championship leader Jarno Opmeer has tumbled down the order, could be looking at 10th position here if everyone else can improve. But we look to Freddie Rasmussen as he comes over the line, and he's taken pole position at the end with a super lap time, and he's gone about a 10th and a half ahead of Danny Beresnay. We are not done yet, though. Nicolas Longuet has been on pole position in this championship earlier in the year. The Renault driver's done the hard bit, foot flat to the floor, up through the gears. Longuet only improves to 7th position, and we are waiting now from the lap time from Brendan Lee. Here is the Mercedes. The clock has run out of time. Where can he go? He looks to see where he is. There's the frustration because he's only 9th, and it's Freddie Rasmussen on pole for Spa.
There you go. Look at you on pole for Spa, giving it the full-on smugness.
I was trying not to be smug and everything. And
Your head was proper shaking from the smugness. I love it. There was a lot of chat on social media, actually, about will we see a 1 minute 39? And we had a 1 minute 40.004.
Oh,
so unbelievably close, but I'm sure Rasmussen won't mind that at all. He's looking very formidable, isn't he, Nick? He's really coming into his own in this second half of the season. He's going to try and catch Opmeer at the top of the standings, and this is a great way to start.
Yeah, very, very strong from him. And it's great to see Danny Beresnay there
Mr.
in the
Karaoke
mix.
Mike himself.
Yeah, in the mix, P2. He'll be very happy with that.
I'm surprised he's not picked it up and sung us a little song. And there's Marcel Kiefer. Looks like he's just qualified 20th, but he's P3. So I'm sure he'll be fine with that. 1 minute 40.171. So both the Red Bulls in the mix. Opmeer down in P10.
Yeah.
So that invalidation, as I kind of referenced earlier, with the fact that, you know, if you mess up your one fresh set of tyres and you only have your banker from your old set, you're going to be right at the bottom.
Sorry, it could have been from that mistake on the you know, when he got a bit of oversteer and maybe extended a little bit too much, which cost him his lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Another man that was really good in qualifying was Simon Weigang. P5. Again, I love mentioning it because of the fact he's really brought up his performances since. Yeah. But, you know, he wanted to throw F1 Esports out the window. He was done, finished.
Turned the corner, really, didn't he?
He got Tom over there sitting on his desk, you know, oh, Haas F1 team. Oh, I've always been a big supporter. He's nodding away, but he's very happy to see Simon Weigang up there in P5. But it just shows...
only took literal years for them to deliver on Tom's support. But pleased for Simon Weigang because he's clearly been through the mill a little bit, but now he's found whatever's working with this F1 2020 game, he's delivering. And it's not a flash in the pan. This has been the last couple of weeks now.
Exactly. He's found the pace, but he's also found the mentality to go with it as well, where to not give up and to continue grinding. And he's found the pace that he knew he had. Yeah, maybe it's a bit of reverse psychology, showing the world that he might give up, but he knows in himself that he's got what it takes, and he's done really well. I'm really impressed and also happy for him, you know, going into the Haas team and flying the flag for them. Absolutely. Let's take a look at the top 10 classification and what happened in that qualifying. A brilliant lap from Rasmussen, over a tenth clear of Berezne, who we thought may have snatched pole position for a little while there. Then Marcel Kiefer in P3, Tanitsa and Weigang your top 5. Then Philipp Presneda, we have to give him a hand, P6 in his first qualifying for FDA Hublot Esports. A great performance, it has to be said. Yeah, without a doubt. I'm very, very happy for him. I think he'll be very proud of his performance. Jarno Opmeer down in P10. What can he do? That is the biggest shock. But yeah, it's going to be a really exciting race. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to overtake, and looking forward to see what can happen. How do you see this one unfolding, Alex? It's a pretty tasty grid.
It's a great grid. In terms of the pole positions you can take in this year's championship, this is maybe one that you don't always want because you've got that run on lap 1 all the way up to turn number 5. So big opportunity for those around if they can stay close to Freddie Rasmussen.
Yeah, starting P3 or P4 sometimes is even best, at least in real life Formula 1. We'll see if the slipstream has that same effect. Where would you like to start, Nick, if you could choose? Pole?
If it was me, I'd probably want to start P2. But in pole position, you know, you could use a few tactics to try and break out of the slipstream or try and make sure that P2 doesn't get a good exit out of La Source. So you could be in a bit more control, but you're very, very open to getting overtaken at the end of the Kemmel Straight.
Now I've come to my favourite part of the show. I don't know which one of you is doing which. Reveal the card. Who's doing overperformance?
Overachiever.
Overachiever. Either or.
Yeah.
Tomato, tomato.
Pretty subtle there. Cool. Right.
Go on, take it.
Television. Philipp Presneda launched in last minute, and I thought he did absolutely brilliantly. And congratulations to him, because when you are facing a chance to audition essentially for that team, you've got to take your chances. He took his chances really nicely, not too far away from his team.
Yeah, great audition. He's hit all the right notes. Danny Berezne will probably appreciate that, as he is a big singer himself. But here he is. We're just having a look at him in Q2, and there was a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Nick, it's not just the fact that you're in the spotlight and this is the F1 Esports Pro Series, but also you're driving for FDA Hublot Esports, and it's quite an honour, I'd imagine, for a lot of these drivers, including Philipp.
Yeah, he'll be very, very proud for this opportunity. But also, what makes it more difficult is the fact that we're pretty much halfway through this season, aren't we? And these drivers that he's up against, have they're all up to speed, aren't they? They're all up to speed, and he's got to dust those cobwebs off, and he's done a great job doing that. And it doesn't matter how many hours you put in the sim. It's about delivering when the time comes and when the time matters, and when all the lights are on you in an esports situation and official qualifying session. That's where you can sort of collapse, but he showed no sign of doing that.
Absolutely. Now I'm doing the as expected driver performance, and I've actually been given the card, and my producer said I could throw him under the bus if I didn't agree. This one, Freddie Rasmussen, I don't think it's as expected at all. I think that was an overperformance from him. The fact that it was a 1:40.0 clear of the field, it has to be said, by over a tenth of a second, with how close we saw it in Q2. But again, I guess it's as expected if we're looking back to 2019. So I'll give the producer half credit. But you can see why it was an overperformance, and also as expected for Freddie.
Yeah, and you can see he's Very happy with that.
I love how the exhale is basically him celebrating, isn't it?
That's as wild as it gets. I think it's one of the best qualifying laps of the year that we've seen. To have that margin when everyone else is so tight around a real driver's track in Spa, I think that's a fantastic performance. But that's the standard that he's set over the last couple of years. So
At what point, sorry, do you think that we're going to see anything more than an exhale? Like, he's won the Constructors' Championship before, lifted the trophy.
yeah.
At what point does he celebrate, do you think? Or is that just it? Is that just how Freddie does it?
It might be how he always does it. Maybe a Drivers' Championship could change all of that.
Maybe. Let's go to underperformance now. And Nick, unfortunately, you've been given that role. So please let us know your driver who won.
Yeah, I'm a pro, so I don't have to look at my card.
You didn't look at it when the camera was off you. No, that's fine. No, it's cool.
It's a loyal programme, isn't it?
Anyway, I'm going for Joni Tormler, which is a shame for him. You can see he's very unhappy to not put in a good performance. He's had a few bad performances in qualifying this year, and to continue that streak going into the race at Spa is not where he wants to be.
Yeah, unfortunately, Joni's had a few underperformances already this year, hasn't he? Where I think it was Austria again, we gave that award to him, which is not an award you want in this quali show. But another man is Jarno Opmeer. But you have to say he's in the mix for underperformance as well. Down in P10, making that mistake that we saw. Are we starting to see chinks in the armour? A little bit of potentially Opmeer isn't unstoppable when we get to the second half of the season. You see the glorious lights of the money and the fame. Does it get to you? Does it get to you, Nick, being a celebrity? Did it get to you when you first became one?
All right, okay, we can stop. We can stop with the celebrity bit. It wasn't me that said I was a celebrity.
I've not indulged in this. That is
Sally
Deacon style comedy, and I won't do it. All right? No, maybe because I can't.
But back to the question.
What was the question?
Is it getting to Jarno Opmeer? That's what I think.
It seems to be a little bit, doesn't it? But then I think perhaps he set such a high standard, it would be odd if he could keep that going all the way through, considering that he'd taken a big step from last year to this year. It would have been a bit of a head scratcher. Would have looked a little bit more like the game rather than the driver, just like happening to line up for him. So I think we can now credit him with a brilliant start to the season. Everyone has a little bit of a wobble here and there. But yeah, after 2 sessions in a row, you have to say he's got to get on top of qualifying.
And someone who has got on top of qualifying, and we actually have them on the line right now, is Mr. Simon Weigang. Simon, you've gone from wanting to throw the game in the bin to mixing it with the very best. How are you feeling after qualifying? He cannot hear us, can he? Hello, Simon.
It might just be he's ignoring your question.
He just does not want to speak to me. That's fine. But I'm sure he's very happy. He's got an incredible hairstyle going on, I must say. Simon, can you hear us?
Yes, very well.
Oh, he's very quiet. But if we can maybe speak into your mic a little bit louder, that'd be brilliant. But Simon, I was just saying, you've turned around qualifying and your performance quite a lot. How are you feeling after this particular one?
Decent, I'd say. Is it better, by the way, the sound?
A little bit.
A little bit. I literally have that thing nearly in my mouth, so I can't really do much more than that. I missed the mic. Yeah, decent. I think I did save laps, not risk too much. I would have liked to go quicker, but I think P5 is fine. I don't think the times overall were too strong in this race. So, yeah, I'm happy with P5, to be honest.
So how have you found kind of turning around the fact that, you were quite disappointed? It was quite clear to see in the first kind of few races. How have you managed to turn it around to now be consistently fighting in Q3 and setting yourself up beautifully for the race?
I got to be honest, I just changed some things on my wheel. They were completely off. I didn't even realize it in the event one. And then right after it, I just changed it and found pace instantly. And ever since then, I think I was in Q3 every time, apart from Zandvoort, but that had its own issues. So, yeah, it's the wheel pretty much.
How do you see the race unfolding as well, Simon? It's Spa, there's good overtaking opportunities. Are we going to see a variety of strategies, or is there going to be one particular one that's the fastest, which you probably aren't going to tell us?
I don't know. I haven't done race too much, to be honest. So, I don't know. I can't say. We'll see. I honestly don't know. I'll find out once I practice.
Good stuff. Well, thanks so much, Simon, for your time, and good luck for this evening.
Thank you very much, Matt.
There you go, Simon Weigang, a man definitely with momentum. He's shown now that he's got the pace. Tom Deacon, his biggest fan for Haas. They're going to continue to get fans with these performances. And it's good to see Haas, they've really struggled. but to have these kind of performances shows that they are finding the right drivers. They maybe just need to work on the ways to utilise them.
Yeah, they took a punt on him in the draft and he's paying them back. So I think he'll be pleased with where he is. It's about delivering the big points now on a regular basis and helping them. It's quite open with the team championship. We saw that at the start. They could, if he can keep banging in the top fives, he would have a big opportunity to improve their team standings.
Now, we've been asked who underperformed, overperformed, and did as expected on these cards, but I want to know what you think as well. Who did overperform, underperform, and do as expected? Use hashtag F1 Esports or talk in the Twitch chat. And, well, I'm really excited to see how Spa in particular unfolds. Of course, we have Silverstone as well in that race. But with the grid quite teed up quite nicely, Nick, how do you see it unfolding? Do you see the likes of Otmir down in 10th going for an alternate strategy again, where we see him charge through the field at the start? Or do we see something different from Jarno? Maybe he needs to mix it up.
Well, Jarno's on damage limitation, really, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Down in
Again.
P10. Again.
Yeah.
So he's got, we know he's good on that alternate strategy. If I was him, I'd probably go that direction. But Freddie Rasmussen, doing the business in P1 and having his teammate there, Kiefer in P3, I think Red Bull are the ones to look for.
And Alex, we're of course commentating this particular race and Silverstone later tonight. How do you see it all unfolding? Are you excited for them racing around Spa-Francorchamps, the iconic track?
Well, Silverstone's going to be how close can you stay in Maggots and Beckett's? Can you get a run onto the hangar straight? And I think Spa is going to be all about lap number 1. Can you stay out of trouble? We've seen plenty of action down the years at that turn 1 hairpin.
Well, I think we've tossed up the evening show enough to tease it right now. 7:30 this evening, you can check out, as Tom really enjoyed that one. There it is, there's the graphic. Event 3 gets underway at 7:30 p.m. GMT. We have, of course, Silverstone and Spa coming up. And then Monza we have tomorrow. The quali show will be back once again. Very excited indeed. Give us one crazy prediction. I'm not going to put you on the spot straight away, Nick. I'm going to ask Alex first, because he's always on the spot. One crazy thing that can happen tonight.
Simon Weigang on the podium.
Hello.
There you go, you wanted crazy.
That was almost like it was cooking for a while.
Well, he's been threatening.
And you, Nick?
Brendan Lee from P9 to P3.
To the win. Do it. I'd love to see Brendan Lee back there. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching this F1 Esports Pro Series quali show presented by Aramco. We'll see you this evening for the races around Silverstone and Spa. Thank you to Alex, thank you to Nick, and thank you to Tom for being there earlier as well. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.